What are you?
Dear white people, here's a little tip. When you ask someone who looks ethnically different, what are you? The answer is usually a person about to slap the out of you.
If you're not black, you might have never been asked this question, but for so many, it's a painfully familiar scene.
People take one look at my skin and they assume that I'm poor or uneducated or ratchet. So yeah, I tone it down. Make myself more palatable, join a sorority. What's so wrong with that?
Everything.
For 3 seasons, Justin Simien has been exploring issues of racial injustice in modern America. Set on a predominantly white Ivy League college campus, Dear White People is often punctuated by moments of humor, but its layers of truth rooted in the realities of racism are ever present.
I said show me some ID!
Yo, he's a student!
There's a lot of things that are going on in your blind spots.
With America now facing a cultural reckoning, calls for anti-racism and representation are at the forefront, causing tidal waves of action. With long-standing cultural norms being challenged, Americans are beginning to look inward as consumer products, from Aunt Jemima to Uncle Ben's, announce they'll remove racially insensitive imagery.
This can't possibly be news, that those are offensive images.
The latest, the NFL's Washington-based football franchise finally agreeing to change its controversial name and logo.
Native people have been calling for this moment for decades now. So it feels really great, but I'm also just very cautious about what's going to happen next.
Amanda Blackhorse is Navajo and the lead plaintiff in the case against professional football. She spoke with my colleague, Lindsay Davis.
The Washington team and the R word. It is a racial slur, and there's no reason why it should be the name of a football team.
A lot of white folks are apologizing for the past, but not recognizing the present ways in which they are perpetuating systemic racism.
Actor, educator, and producer Fanchon Cox has been fighting to reshape what diversity looks like in the public image.
Those of us who create TV and film, and to make sure that everybody gets to see themselves.
As calls for systemic change ring through the entertainment industry, recently country band Lady Antebellum changing its name to Lady A to acknowledge the painful past. But now in a legal dispute with a black soul artist, Anita White, who's been performing under that moniker for the past 30 years.
I have built this name for decades, before they were born, and I've been building it, and I'm an independent artist. We grind every day to do what we do. And Black folks, indigenous people of color of this land, we grind even harder. So sometimes all we have is our name. We don't want to have that taken from us. The reason why it's important is for those, not just for me. This is more important for those that come behind me.
Change is often slow. After 24 seasons on air, ABC's The Bachelor finally announcing its first Black Bachelor, Matt James. He'll headline the show in 2021.
We can't have change until you put that first foot forward, and that first foot forward for the Bachelor franchise is having a black lead. So I'm excited to take on that role.
The show has nothing to do with race. It's about getting married. Black people get married. Indigenous people get married. People with disabilities get married. Why is it that that show has always pretended that the only people who get married are white cisgendered people?
Creators are now including diversity inclusion riders in their contracts, something Cox has created and championed.
The inclusion rider clause is saying we want there to be a representative number of people hired in cast and crew positions.
I miss you.
Which makes shows like Dear White People a trailblazing force. It's now being touted as a show whites should turn to for education in this moment.
We wanted to always be here for people to watch the show, laugh, because it is a comedy. It's very validating to hear that it's on lists. It's also very frustrating because this is what it took.
Nightline first sat down with the cast of Dear White People in 2018 to discuss the topic of police brutality on and off screen.
Something Justin said to me before we even started filming the show is that playing this character might change somebody's life or save somebody's life.
Following the death of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter protests, the show has seen a more than 300% increase in viewership on Netflix in recent weeks.
I can't celebrate from the rooftops because what brought that about is so horrific. But I'm just going to be honest, like, I didn't hear about that from my network. I heard about that from an outside company. Blind spot.
But Simeon's quick to remind that disparities in the industry run deep and blind spots must constantly be checked.
You see television companies and networks coming out with Black Lives Matter statements, coming out with resource lists, coming out with ways in which they're donating money. That's a wonderful way to make a public statement. But in private, what about our budgets? Why don't we get the same budgets as our white counterparts get? Why do we not get the same awards push? Why do we not get the same, advertising?
Cox saying meaningful change comes with a profound shift in how the industry operates at all levels.
Let's cut that cycle of continuing to have to apologize for the past and be really aware, self-reflective of every single decision we make. We are either going to perpetuate systemic racism or we are going to help dismantle it.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.